Hi, everybody. I'm really happy I feel privileged to have this boat here. Many of you have seen me before at the Seaport, but I was an interpreter at the John Swan boat shop for several years, and then I worked in the exhibits department, building and designing exhibits for them. And I left there in 2021 after 12 years working at the Seaport. While there, I was lucky enough to acquire this boat. It was advertised in the back of Wooden Boat magazine and Free Boats. And I called up and heard that I worked at the Mystic Seaport, and he said, "Well then, it's yours." Because he wanted somebody to really appreciate this boat. This boat was built in 1974 or 5 by a landlocked sailor in Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania, and used a Navy guy to get models, tons and tons of models, German military vessels and everything. And as soon as the plans came out for Mystic Seaport for this boat, he built this is like the same. So he wrote an article about the sailing of the building of his version. I don't know where it was published, but I have an article. That's his boat and this boat. But when I bought her, when I got her, this is her in full rig. They did have a removable bowsprit and a jib at the bottom. She was white when I got her, and just white. But reading up about the type and seeing some old photographs, I discovered that there were many colors. And so I made her as authentic as I could, color-wise, and stuck her out in front of the Mystic Seaport in the morning. And where she got some real attention, I almost sold her to Jeff Kerr, who's a very fine builder up in Vermont. He was totally taken by the shape of this boat out on the river and wanted her, but in the end he couldn't find a place for her and decided it was just one too many. So I still have her. Let's see. So the story, I hope I'm not boring people with the story here. If you already know, just wave your hand, whatever. But this boat is a copy of a boat that was discovered in a barn by Mystic Seaport Museum in 1949. And she had been built by a builder who was from the mid-19th century in Newport. Lived there all his life, sailed extensively, fished extensively with a fellow named John Swan, who was like the premier fisherman boat builder of the time. And there are great stories about, Lafarge writes a great article about the sailing exploits, and it's a great read. This is from Lafarge also sailed with Button Swan with Henry Monroe in the late 19th century, early 20th century, and so he tells yarns of his childhood, knowing this guy, and it's just a great read. He's writing in the 20s or something, and it's a great read. So John Swan, being an accomplished boat builder and fisherman, had this young fellow, Henry Monroe, under his wing. And Henry Monroe was a very diminutive chap, very small, and he quickly got the nickname Button Swan. And by the time this boat was discovered, it had acquired the name Button Swan from the fellow that owned it. There were two owners between Henry Monroe and the person that donated it to the Seaport, the family of the person. And so it acquired the name officially. I am not sure I want to have the same name on my boat, so suggestions or lore or rules of thumb or cautionary tales are welcome on naming. So she was named Button Swan by the Seaport, and she was extensively refitted and restored she was in great shape when she was found. She was found in a barn with an inboard motor, with a shaft set to port of her deadwood, and the rig was long gone, so they don't actually have the rig itself, but they have photographs of boats that Henry Monroe built. The classic version is a boat named Kingfisher, who was commissioned by a wealthy family that summered in Newport, and she is a great example of the type. And I have a number of pictures from the Seaport has these plates in their collection. Actually, it's much easier to see this one. All the Catboat catboats at all. This is the catboat era in Newport, Rhode Island. And so this right here is a very early one, probably 17 feet long, 16 feet, whatever, burdensome, heavy fishing boat. And this one, where'd it go? Please, is Kingfisher, right there. So that's what my boat looks very much like under the sail. And you can see she's got different colors. It's even a black and white photo. You can see the contrast. There are at least 3 different colors on it. And the original accounts talk about the colors. So I've used this very much as a model for what I'm doing in the boat. So that's a little bit of the history. So Henry Monroe, Button Swan, the provenance of the boat comes to the seaport. It's one of the most significant collections. They'll tell you it's one of the most significant boats they've collected because of how the provenance, how intact, and how much it was the product of the seminal figures of the catboat era in Newport. And what's also interesting about this is that the development of this as a distinctive catboat type was paralleled the development of the catboat in several other places. Cape Cod, the Chesapeake, Long Island, and the boat in England were all developed about the mid-19th century, and nobody really can tease out who's the originator, what's the authentic thing, where the name comes from, what does catboat mean anyway? We don't know any of these things, really. I mean, I've read a lot, trying to dig it up, but there's nothing definitive about this. Anyway, so there is the boat that belonged to the protege of John Swan, who was the premier builder of that type at that exact time. This is an amazing lineage of history that's attached to the boat. So anyway, I'm incredibly proud to have the boat. And about the project, I would love if any of you stop by and help. I'm working on it on Friday afternoons into the evening, and I'm also open to picking another time to accelerate the work. So if anybody can come and join me in the fun, I would love it. My projects are, I need to refinish all the surfaces. She's got a very intricate interior, and I'm thinking about removing the center thwart because I sail with the Dinghy Cruising Association. Harold is one of the reasons that I'm kind of back on the water. It's been hard for me to be on the water a lot, but and so I'm interested in making this a boat I can sleep aboard in the morning. And so removing the center thwart is one possible way to do that. I'm thinking about that. It's complicated. I'd like to make a larger rudder, although the pictures indicate that the rudder was about the same shape as what I have. I found it very inadequate. I had to put all the ballast aft to get her to set right in the water and to sail well and for the rudder and the keel to bite. She has no centerboard because, so being a fishing boat, the original had a fish well. It was a pyramid-shaped box built to the center of the boat with thwarts surrounding it with a lid on top of it. She had a center divider in the well to keep the water from barreling from one side to the other, and she had holes in the bottom to feed fresh water into the fish well. So she's really just for fishing. And to my knowledge, nobody's actually sailed one of this type set up properly that way, because that's a lot of weight in the middle of the boat that changes the way she behaves. So I don't even know how she's really properly supposed to sail because I don't have that. But anyway, what I found was that moving the lead aft helped me a great deal to get enough bite from the keel and the rudder. And I'm looking for ways to maybe improve on that. And then the final thing I'll mention is that, well, there are a couple other projects. I want to drill scuppers. This builder, if you can see from the way you can see the frame heads sticking out between the deck pieces. This is an odd way to build a boat. And he obviously didn't know how to build boats. He just looked at the picture and did his best to craft it. And I think he did exceptionally well. But there's some real oddities. One of the oddities is that there are no scuppers in the bilge. So every bay, each side needs to be bailed if water gets in there. And it's a complete pain in the neck. I would like to drill scuppers, and that's a bit of a challenge, and I also want to do something to treat the wood in there so it doesn't start rotting right away. Linseed oil, epoxy, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. And then the last thing is I have 2 sails. The sail that came with this boat is a cotton sail because he wanted to be authentic. And it feels right, it looks right, it's beautiful. But on the mooring, it started to get wet and mildew and it was a complete maintenance hassle. I would actually take I have a way of lacing the sail on so that I can take the whole boom and gaff off the boat, and so I can avoid that, but it was just a complete hassle the whole time. And this boat, the boom overhangs the transom about almost 4 feet, so it's a very, very significant amount of sail area to deal with for this boat. I then also have a beaver cat sail, which was given to me on the Seaport, and it's about the same dimensions, but background. So I have to take the slides off and adapt lacing, grommets and stuff like that to that sail, and I also want to put reefing in because this can be a handful. So those are my projects and kind of my hopes. I plan to paint her the same scheme, I think, color scheme. So I think worked really well. And are there any questions?